Hello everyone and welcome back to the YouTube channel. On this particular video for this particular piece of art, I've actually got a special guest joining me. Everyone say hi to Katelyn McCaigue.
Hi everybody.
Katelyn and I have been kind of talking back and forth for years at this point, and well, why don't you explain the challenge, Katelyn?
So both of us draw magic tokens, and we thought it'd be really cool to do like a challenge collaboration where we make a double-sided warrior token, and also send each other some prompts to challenge each other in the creation of our warrior. So we both sent each other a color and an item from our local dollar store, just to get some ideas going and give you an idea for a prompt for your warrior token. So I sent mine a week ago.
Yeah,
we finally got them,
like
so
that.
I'm excited to see what you think.
Yeah, I got it in the mail. It's all right here, a cute little package. So yeah, let me now it's gonna be the fun struggle to watch me open a bag.
A sticky bag.
Oh, it's a sticky bag. Oh wait, I'm already excited. What is this? Oh my, okay, hang on. Is there like a...
Yeah, there's a little letter.
Okay, where's the little letter? Wait, I don't see a little letter.
Was it in the other bag?
Maybe it was in the other bag. Hang on. I found the letter.
There it is. There's the letter.
Okay. Oh, it says read me, and it's in red. I like it. Okay. Hey, thanks for doing this collab with me. I wanted to give some quick context to the item. So the larger item is the color inspiration, but feel free to bring in the texture too. And the smaller item, feel free to pull ideas from other types of this thing. Good luck, Katelyn McCaigue. So we've got green. Did we both pick green?
Yeah, we did both pick green.
You know what the funny thing is? The back is silver.
Yeah, you could pick either if you really want to.
I could do both. And then I'm supposed, this is a hammerhead shark.
It is.
Oh my god, this is gonna be hilarious.
Yeah. I couldn't resist. I know I'm very much an animal person, so I was like, ooh, this shark looks fun.
I say, like, your thing on your channel, like, you've done so many monster drawings, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So,
I had to throw you a animal curveball.
This is gonna be I'm gonna have so many sketchbook pages devoted to figuring out how to make these work together. So
I hope you have fun with it. I thought it would be a pretty cool combo, and then yeah, feel free to use other types of sharks. I know it's a hammerhead, but the gauntlet is open for other types of sharks.
Yeah, but the fun thing about a hammerhead is it's got the hammer built in.
Right? Exactly. Just put like...
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, this is fantastic, Katelyn. I normally don't show the sketching process on my YouTube channel, but for this particular challenge, I figure I'll show you a little bit more into my process before I start putting oil to canvas. So why don't you join me for some sketches? And Katelyn, I guess I'll see you in, for me, like 3 months, because oil painting is a slow process.
But for the viewers, it will be 2 seconds.
I miss digital painting, I really do.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see your oil painting.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'll see you in a couple months.
Sweet. See you then.
So, Katelyn, you originally gave me an idea to make this a sort of hammerhead shark hammer. And you can see I did a little sketch there originally of like just kind of general idea of how big this hammer might be. And I decided that I wanted to start this entire piece by focusing on this hammer, since it would be the central focus. So I started off by drawing one of the main inspirations, which was Mjolnir, or Thor's hammer, from the Marvel movies. Now, I realize this is a fictionalized version of Warhammers, and I'm like, okay, so this is a cool little thing. It's got like a little tiny thing, it's short, it's got a little pommel. And then I decided to research some real Warhammers, and I came up with this generalized shape. This is sort of how a real Warhammer is. I just had it here for reference, and a real Warhammer has this sort of central nugget. It's got a little pointy end to bash through a hammer, and then the flat end is what you use to basically bash someone's head in. And I'm like, okay, that'll work. And I decided then what I wanted to do is take these two together and make some sort of fantasy hammer. And when I draw hammers, or when I look at hammers, I love flanged edges. I love these sort of like outcroppings and wide open bases. So I decided to run with that, and I made this basic sketch of a hammer. I had this head. The head was kind of the first thing I thought of, and I was thinking about how to make the hammerhead shark incorporate into the hammer. And I realized it would be actually cool to have the mount for this giant metallic head be the part that is resembling the hammerhead. So it's not physically the hammerhead because the hammerhead shark's head is obviously flat, but that actually allowed me to make it flat on both sides and sort of be spiritual to the hammerhead. So I took the shark that you gave me, and I drew up this reference that was just kind of like, how do I take this shark and incorporate the various components of a hammerhead shark into the handle? So it's got that sort of like fat base near the head, and it's got this sort of thinning base as it goes down. I decided to incorporate the fins as sort of almost like a crossguard kind of thing. I don't know if it's actually a crossguard. Hammer enthusiasts in the comments, you can go ahead and educate me if you will. But I am trying to incorporate the fins in sort of a crossguard shape, and I realized that the shark has this tail fin or dorsal fin, and I put that on the hammer as well on the back side of it, so that basically what it is that you've got these crossguard fins here, this dorsal fin on the back, and because it's a hammer, I decided to have it so that the entire shape was flipped 360. And so there you see me draw that dorsal fin on the back there, and then this will be all the same on the other side as well. And this is kind of how I can sort of start to see where the hammerhead shark is sort of incorporated into the hammer. And honestly, I had originally pictured doing a sword when we decided to do this challenge, so painting a hammer was really fun, and this really pushed me out of my comfort zone a bit. For the tail of the hammer, I decided to make it functional and use a hammerhead's own tail to sort of give this curved, almost like spiky, pointy tail. And its course is rotated 90 degrees from the main hammer itself. So what I did is I also drew it on the side here, just in that 90-degree profile rotation, so I had something to work with as a reference. Because what I decided to do next was I decided to have a little bit of fun with this design. So this is my final design for the hammerhead shark hammer. There's so many words hammer there. Hammer, shark, hammerhead, shark, hammer. I had it right the first time. And I decided to take this hammer that hammerhead shark you gave me, made this design. And I'm a very visual person. I'm a very three-dimensional person. I needed to pull this into 3D space. So I took this drawing that I made. I popped it onto my scanner, decided to pull that reference photo into my computer, and then I decided to use Blender to 3D model the entire hammer from scratch so that I had a visual model that I could spin around with. And this is what I came up with just from that. So now that I had a 3D reference of the hammer to work with, I decided to go back to my sketchbook and I decided to sketch out some actual scene ideas. And this is originally what I came up with. At first I had this sort of hero pose standing up against a cresting wave, but that didn't really seem to connect for me. It didn't seem to work. So then I moved on to these secondary sketches of maybe having this figure. Originally it was like praying, and then I had this idea of the figure was actually kind of bracing mid-combat, which gave me this idea to have this figure kneeling as she braced. Oh, I just got hurt. I have my hammer in hand. It's my support. And taking that, I decided to go into my studio, shoot some reference photos, and I came up with this photo composite using some stock photos online, some 3D models that I bought, my 3D model of the hammer, so that I had a good reference image to work for the piece that I ended up deciding to paint. And then I took that one step further and I brought that image into Procreate, where I decided to actually paint on some of the clothes. I sort of decided to play with the pose a little bit too, because I didn't like how my hand was in the reference photo, so you can see me here sort of playing around with the pose of a few things. I also decided to use this point to add some details like this tooth sort of arm band that I had on me and the tattoo. And when all that said and done, I finally came up with this final reference image. This is what I am going to use to paint. So I transferred that image onto a piece of linen mounted on some aluminium board, onto an aluminium composite panel, and I basically just decided to start at it like I do most any other oil painting. I started with the background on the bridge because I felt like that was going to be one of the, not really a tricky thing for me, but at least it was tricky enough to sort of get my feet wet with something complex and get me sort of going with the oil painting process. Basically with oil painting, I always like to start somewhere that's a little bit Not too difficult, not too easy, but something I know that's well within my skill level to just kind of get the feel again for blending. This was also the first painting that I ever did on this sort of linen mounted onto aluminium panel setup, so it was also just me kind of getting a new feel for this new material, and I gotta say, I really love this particular setup, so I'm probably going to be doing a lot more paintings just to my regular viewers on this sort of new flat panel setup. You've seen this sort of something mounted onto a flat board before. That's usually been a gesso board, so this is the first time I've put linen on aluminium for this kind of painting. So as you can see, I decided to work on that bridge there, just get it blocked in, really, and I very much like to call myself a window painter, so I start to paint most of the details in on the first pass, just to get an idea or feel for them. I usually will, or sometimes I will go over on a second pass to add more detail, but a lot of the time I just sort of go at it as I'm going, just to sort of get everything roughly in place and have something to work off of. After the bridge, I decided to go straight into that sky and sort of paint the sort of stormy, cloudy sky that you saw from the reference image. Put those dragon silhouettes in there, and let me tell you, it is very difficult to paint dragons. Even if they're just in silhouette, they have a very unique shape that most people can easily recognize. As I decided to work on this painting, I moved from the background into the foreground, working on these sort of rock outcroppings. Unlike the actual reference image itself, I decided to change up a little bit with these spiry rocks. Instead of the point where we can see the top of them, I decided to just go spires up all the way, and you can see me very much just painting those spires straight up and over my head in the background to sort of let them really feel like this towering rock formation behind me. Reference images are great for you to get an idea of a general rough sense of what you want, but they are still a reference, and feel free on paintings to really go from there. Then came the hard part, the figure, also known as a me. It is very interesting to paint yourself, even if like a figure reference like this, because I am very critical of my own appearance in the sense that I know when I don't look like me. And so my audience will see this before I did. I messed up on the face right here. I messed up with that left eye. It is far too high up, it is far too off to the left, and the nose is far too big, so it's kind of like the left eye is pulled off to the left of the face. I didn't like the teeth as much either, but like the eye was really the part that bothered me. It didn't sell with the rest of the painting, but I didn't see it when I painted it. I decided to move forward and work on the rest of the figure. I moved into the wrap of the sort of like, I guess it's not a tunic, almost like a sports bra essentially, around my chest, and then I moved from there into the arms, legs, and belly. You can see I kind of painted the one arm there. I decided not to paint the hammer in this particular session of painting, so this was done over about 4 sessions of painting. 4 to 5, not counting like minor touch-up sessions. And I moved first with the flesh tones, and then I decided I would come back and work on the details around it, so I could also use those details on slightly dry paint to sort of bring in and rein in some of my loose edges here. I would have loved to have painted all of this in one single go, however I was getting very tired. I think this whole section here alone took about 5 to 6 hours, so I needed a break after all that painting. And I decided to then come back another day and work on the hammer, which is what you're seeing now. The hammer was a relatively simple shape, which made it difficult to paint because it's a lot of smooth lines, it's a lot of smooth curves, it's a computer rendered object, but I still needed to somehow make it feel real and sit real in the rest of the scene. So I let myself be loose with it. I let myself paint around it with very loose brush strokes. I did want there to still be that sort of sense that this was a manufactured object, but I also wanted to let it have a little bit of free-flowing, for lack of a better word, human error, so that it felt like a real thing. It felt like it had a bit of imperfections in how it was manufactured. From far away, it looks very straight, very 3D rendered, very on edge, but if you look up close, you'll see lots of little bit wiggly lines that just really helped it. I decided to add an arrow into my side because I'm suffering, and then I painted on those teeth around my arm and the tattoo, and then just worked on a very basic pass of the actual beach. Now, the beach in the reference photo was a granite, like almost a gravelly rock beach. I didn't want that. I wanted more like a black sand beach, which is where I did this sort of initial wash of color, and then I sort of brought in a little bit of definition here and there, just bring it forward. I wanted to do it this way because I didn't want there to be too much attention drawn away from the main figure, and I felt like the rocks would have been too much detailing that just sort of drew from the actual focus of the picture. Here I decided to come back on another day and fix that eye. It was bothering me. I sat there for a long time and I figured out what was wrong with it. So I did come back and find a way to fix it. And then you can see me working on it. And then it came down to finishing off the piece and having to share it with Katelyn. So let's go over to that. Hello everyone and welcome back to my office where now we have finished this collaboration. It has been a lot more months than I thought. However, so Katelyn gave me a prompt of a hammerhead shark, which God knows where I put the damn thing, and the color green. And Katelyn, you know what? It was until last night when I was re-prepping for this, I completely messed up. I did not use the color green.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, I think the hammerhead shark is going to be sick as hell.
I think you're going to really love what I did with the shark.
Yeah, that's the main focus. I'm okay with any color. I just wanted shark.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, I did this as an oil painting, everyone. Oh, boy.
Whoa! That's so cool!
I don't know how much you can see that with all the glare.
Yeah, I got both of them. That's sick as hell. I love the cool, like the hammer shark. Hammer!
You sent me a hammerhead shark and I went, hammer, shark.
Hammer shark?
And so I literally, the head is literally the head of the hammer.
That is so sick. I never would have thought of that, to do like a hammerhead hammer shark.
No, it was like...
Okay.
Let me put that down. Yeah, it was literally the first thought that came to mind, and I'm just like, and there we have it.
That's so perfect. I hope if you ever listed on like your Square or whatever you do for checkout, and you need a name, now name it hammerhead shark. Hammerhead shark head. Yeah, this is awesome. I love how you incorporated the shark. That is so cool. Like, I was thinking like maybe armor bits, but I never thought of doing like the weapon. So, hell yeah, that's awesome.
It may or may not have been inspired by the fact that I'd just seen the third Thor movie.
Fresh on the brain with the hammers.
Exactly. And I'm like, Warhammer's a weapon.
Yeah. That is so sick. Hell yeah. Well, you want to tell, I guess, your audience what we're going to be doing with these and what this artwork's going to be used for?
We should. So, if you haven't done it yet, we're about to go ahead on Katelyn's video, and you can take a look at her half of this art trade where we look at what she made. What we're going to do is we're going to take both of our arts, for those of you who don't know, and I make magic tokens. And we both make magic tokens. We're going to make a double-sided token with both of our art on it. That's going to be available on both of our eShops and at both of the conventions that we'll be doing for the next while. So you'll be able to get some of her art over here where I do my conventions and my art at her conventions.
Yeah, I think it's going to be such a cool magic token. I can't wait to have it on the booth and be like, flip me over, and you get to see both sides.
It's going to be so interesting to see. Like, I wonder like how people are going to have like favorites with it. It's going to be so strange.
Right, and then now that we have like our different aesthetics, it's like you could technically put it in multiple different types of decks too, with our both different looks.
That's true. And to be fair, I have a warrior token deck that I need to use, and I'm going to be using yours.
Oh hell yeah, that's gonna be great. And then I'll use yours, and I have to make a warrior deck now.